let's take it all the way back to our founding fathers. They created something, especially when it comes to the Constitution of the United States. You read the Federalist Papers, you see the vision that they had put together. And we know that the very first president said, don't go chasing enemies. Don't go out there. Don't make foreign, don't do foreign alliances. Don't go chasing bad guys. Stick with what you're doing here at home. But the fact is, while George Washington may have been able to get away with this, at some point in time, George Washington turns the reins of power over to his predecessor, or to his successor. But when he does that, there's a body of people who were part of the government under George Washington. And so when the next president comes in, those people are inherited, and thus begins the birth of the deep state. You see, because now the next president that comes in isn't starting with a fresh slate. He brings into his administration the prejudices of his predecessor, and they come in. And now the next president comes in, another new president. But the deep state now transitions to him, because what we are forming here is a permanent body of unelected professionals, people who are experts in the Treasury, experts in naval affairs, experts in this, experts in that, who their intention, I believe, is good when they initially started. But at some point in time, it becomes a power struggle as different groups of experts are fighting for a finite pie. And what I mean by finite pie, it's twofold. One is money, there's a budget, and then the other one is influence, who gets the president's ear. And so we start to have a power struggle within this permanent body. So they have to get alliances. Who controls the money? Congress. And so now as the next president comes in, this body starts lobbying Congress, and they start saying, hey, we're the important ones. Now, they're lobbying the House of Representatives every 2 years, the Senate, on a rotational 6-year basis. But the point is, from the very beginning, we see that we have this unelected body of specialists, policy specialists, who are being transferred from administration to the administration, who are making ties with powers outside the administration, Congress, and then later on, it'll be business, big business, et cetera. And then they get tied into academia. The think tanks begin to form up, where do people who are in a presidential administration go when their administration is no more? They go back to this permanent, unelected blob, the deep state, and they get put in academia, they get put in think tanks, they get put into business, and there they reside advising, making policy that then gets pushed up until they get plucked again to come back into the, so you get this revolving door. And that's what happens here. No president makes policy on his own. And someday we'll be able to say that no president makes policy on her own. The notion that a president, the chief executive, rolls in and says, this is what I want to do, and therefore it shall be done, is a joke. Because the first thing you're going to run into is this thing called reality. You have this giant ship of governance that is there. It exists. It existed before they got elected, and it's going to exist after their term is done. And they're going to have to deal with this. This is the deep state. No one elected them, and there's no central, there's no star chamber where a bunch of people are sitting around, but it just is. It's a blob that is. It's cancerous cells that have metastasized into this blob that controls America in unelected fashion.